Hey guys, it's Curtis here, and you're watching my channel, A.F.C. Curtis, your home for all things Canadian Premier League content right here on YouTube. And I'm joined by a very special guest today, a champion, the only champion I've ever had, by the way, on my channel so far. And that is the captain, the number 10 of Forge FC, Mr. Kyle Bekker. How's it going, Kyle?
Pretty good, thanks.
Man, I'm just stoked to have you on the channel. You're one of the obviously the bigger names in the CPL's history so far, and one of the best players. You're the reigning Player of the Year. I'm going to run down some of your stats here. You're a two-time champion. You're captain of a club that's all the way to the quarterfinals last year of the CONCACAF League, which we're going to talk about in today's interview today, which made history for any CPL club. You're a former MLS player, USL player, and NASL champion, if I have that correct. All these great things. And I mean, you accomplished so much already, which is amazing to see. The first question I'm going to ask you here, obviously, before you came to the CPL, you're in the USL for the 2018 season. Can you explain to us the difference in quality between maybe the quality of play, players, even teams between the USL and the CPL?
I think you can see the quality that we have here. I think we could compete with. I think we would have no problem kind of going into those divisions and competing for a championship. The one thing they have is they've kind of been around for a little longer, so there's more structure, there's more teams, but I think we can surpass them if we already haven't. I think the only thing they got on us right now is the number of teams in the league, and obviously we're gonna change that in years to come.
Yeah, I think they have something like, what, 30 more teams than us right now or something in that division?
Honestly, couldn't tell you, but yeah, I know there's a few more.
Yeah, it's way too many in my opinion. But what do you think? Because there's a lot of good CPL players a lot of good Canadian players who are playing down in USL right now. What do you think the CPL has to do to kind of entice those players to, rather than go to USL, to come to Canada to play in the Canadian Premier League?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a tricky situation. Obviously, every player is going to be different. I think the obvious one is early on. You don't really know what a brand new league is going to be like. I think obviously we've kind of squashed those fears in the first 2 years and shown the talent and the competitiveness and the level of this league already. Obviously, in the first year it was fantastic, and then I had to be a little different this year, but that was the same across the board and just a little bit of a bubble season. But you can't deny the talent. I think it's a place where guys can kind of come in, get the professional games they need, the experience they need, and show that they can compete at a high level. So it's great for any player. Obviously, it's everyone's going to be different, but it's I mean, I think we've kind of squashed all those fears, as I said early on.
So you mentioned the bubble season, if you will, which is the 2020 season, the CPL season. It all was played out really throughout about 4 or 5 week span over in PEI, the Island Games, as everyone likes to call it. Do you have any favorite memories, maybe besides winning the CPL championship, of course, from the island?
Yeah, I think that obviously has to be at the top, the winning the championship. But I just think the whole dynamic of the thing was quite interesting, and it was definitely a very cool experience and something I think at least our team will be able to look back on in years to come with fond memories. But it was something that probably won't happen ever again. It was interesting to be isolated like that and kind of be on for 24 hours a day, 24/7. Can't really take your foot off the pedal, and the mental and physical grind that it was unbelievable. It was definitely a test of character, which was interesting. I think it actually provided us an opportunity for our team to kind of come closer together and have a lot more discussions that I think would have been. It's harder to have them organically when in the course of a normal season, when kind of guys take off after practice, but we had nowhere to go, so I think it kind of forced us to get to know one another a little better, and I think it definitely helped us. It helped our group for sure.
Was it the toughest season of your career? Because it was really only about 4 or 5 weeks, and then you, of course, had the CONCACAF League throughout the fall into winter. But a lot of that, from what I've heard from other players, I interviewed Dylan Carrero, former Valor FC player, a couple months ago after the Island Games. He said a big part of that was kind of the mental aspect, being confined in a hotel, going from literally a hotel to training, hotel to game. Would you look back at 2020 as probably the toughest season yet?
No, I wouldn't say the toughest. It was definitely the most interesting. I think once we got there, it kind of became clockwork. It was just a matter of figuring out a routine that works for you, getting in those habits. But I think what was harder than being there was the lead up to it, because there was so many, every sort of province was different. There was restrictions, and you couldn't really prepare with a date in mind. Then all of a sudden it happened very quick, and it was like, all right, we're leaving in 2 weeks, and kind of pack up and get ready for it. So that constant grind of balancing, staying fit, and trying not to burn yourself out before you even played any games, I think was almost harder at times than once we were there. Because once we were there, it was easy. It was, let's see if you're gonna fake it or not. And I think we had a group that across the board wanted to be there and wanted to win. I think what we did see is some guys like to talk, don't really like doing it. And when you're on for 24/7, it's, you can't really hide.
Yeah, and I think we can all pretty much say that Forge was very for real. So, moving on from the Allen Games, you guys won, of course, your second championship there throughout the fall, from about late September, early October, all the way till December. You guys played almost about a game a month there, playing throughout the 2020 CONCACAF League season there. It was a tough format this year with obviously COVID and restrictions. They went from, two-legged matchups every round now to just a single game. Forge played the whole thing on the road. By the way, congratulations for just making as far as you guys did. And literally, I did not think that in 2 years we'd have a club going as far as even the quarterfinals, and even a club that came as close as you guys did to qualifying for CONCACAF Champions League. It all, of course, unfortunately ended in December. You guys lost in the quarterfinals to Kyle. Then the following week in the play-in game, you lost, I think it was Marathon there. What kind of happened in December for Forge FC? Did the schedule finally catch up to you guys? Unfortunately, just because of that travel and the quarantining and all that?
No, I think you look back on it, and I mean, it's funny enough. You look at the games, and obviously we feel like we should have won that quarterfinal. It's it got away from us, and that is what it is, and there's no need to make excuses of it. And then obviously when you have to kind of pick yourself back up after a moment like that and go play a tough team like Marathon, it's never easy. But we still kind of put up a good fight. We left it all out there, and unfortunately we weren't able to get a result in that game and keep the dream kind of going. And it is what it is. But there's not really I don't know. It almost feels like excuses, right? Because of the way in which it ended. But I wouldn't say it caught up to us. I mean, it's obviously a little unnatural. As you said, we were only playing a game a month, so it's hard to keep that match fitness, getting that rhythm. That was almost easier for us in the bubble when games are coming every 3 or 4 days. It's, and then you're on top of that, you're doing all the other stuff. You're leaving for weeks at a time to make sure that you can get a proper training schedule in beforehand. But that means you're spending 3 weeks at a time in a hotel in Central America. So you're far away from family, friends, your own environment, and those are just the little things that came with it. And it was an unbelievable experience, and I think it taught us a lot about ourselves, and just kind of like just a whole different aspect to the grind. And I think it's something that we can kind of build on for the future. I think it's obviously when it ended, it's tough. We didn't want to get knocked out, but funny enough, we have another opportunity against TFC to get back and reach that goal.
Yeah, and then with that a match against TFC, do you guys feel, especially now with the kind of, I feel like TFC is kind of in this transition period where I think they're almost on, in another year, I think they'll probably go through a rebuild now that you have a new coach. Your core of your players are, I think, 30 plus. They're kind of getting older. Maybe Bradley retires in another year. Who knows? Do you feel right now that this is probably the weakest form of TFC in their current era, that you think you can take advantage of that and win a championship against them and qualify for this year's CONCACAF Champions League?
Listen, there's no denying how great of a team they are, and the quality that kind of runs top to bottom in that squad, no matter who they put up. So I think going into a game like this, it's less worrying about them and kind of putting our best foot forward and showing what we're capable of doing, playing without fear, and really going out and expressing what Forge FC is all about. And I think we got a group of young guys who are up for that challenge. I mean, it's a funny situation. We're playing against probably one of the bigger teams we've ever played against, definitely within Canada, and it's one of those ones where it's win-win. We don't have any pressure. We're the underdog, absolutely, and I think it's one of those ones where we can kind of just go out there and just put our best foot forward and show everyone what we're capable of doing. Hopefully we can make some noise.
And now going back to CONCACAF League for my next question here, do you feel if COVID didn't happen that the club would have maybe gone a little further in the whole tournament? Because obviously the season for CONCACAF League would have been, I think it was from like August until October, I think it is, and then of course throughout that time you guys would also be playing CPL games on the weekends. Do you feel like if there was no COVID, you would have had those extra games, and obviously not with restrictions and with quarantining, you guys could have even made it to semifinals or beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little tough to answer. There's too many hypotheticals in there, and to really know. But I think the one thing that could potentially come from that is we'd be able to get even more chemistry and kind of really hone in our identity. I think the fact of the matter is, while we had a successful sort of island games, as you touched on, there's games where we definitely didn't play our best football. But it is what it is. It was almost tournament style, and we knew there was no need to kind of harp on that stuff. But in a normal season, maybe we kind of iron out those details and we're a little more comfortable on the ball. Obviously, we feel very comfortable playing at TFC or at Tim Hortons Field as well. So maybe that could have been an advantage in some of those two-leg games, but all of that is just speculation at this point. So who knows, man.
Looking ahead to 2021 CONCACAF League competition, what do you think Forge have to do differently this time around to kind of take that next step and make it to semifinals and beyond?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that we kind of need to do a little bit better on in our league play as well. It's just be more deadly. We've in every one of these games we played, we created chances, we scored goals, and crazy part is we could have scored even more. And there's games when we can finish them off in the first half and kind of ease into it, but we always we like to make it a little bit more difficult for ourselves. And I think we had a fantastic back line or back six, however you want to look at it, and they were great for us. But when you kind of don't put away two or three chances in the first half, it kind of just builds up and adds a little bit more pressure, and other teams can kind of feed off that and get a little bit of momentum back and kind of sting you on the back end, which is unfortunate. But if we can get in those habits of finishing games off in the first half when we have those chances and we come out and we have those great starts, then I think we'll be better off.
Now, you've played in the last 2 years against different competitive clubs. They're from different Division One leagues in CONCACAF. Where do you think the CPL now ranks in terms of all the Division One leagues in CONCACAF? Do you think we're a top 10 league now?
I mean, listen, we have the potential we have is unbelievable. I think what we've shown in the first 2 years and where our ceiling has been kind of raised to, and probably what everyone thought coming into it to where we are now, there's no denying that this league can truly take off and be the top league in Canada, which is what it should, or what it is. But I think there's still those people who are thinking, oh, the MLS, TFC, Vancouver, and Whitecaps or whatever. But there is no denying what the value in this league is and what it will mean for kind of the pipeline of Canadian players coming up and what that'll turn into for our national team. We're opening more doors. We have more experience and more opportunity now for kids to kind of get their foot in the door and play at the highest level and really figure out if this is what they want to do. I think before this league, the big problem is we had three teams to pick from if you're a young kid coming up and trying to break in. The break in is you're not really getting as many games as you want unless you do fantastic, which is great. That's a fantastic opportunity. Go on, keep going, and kick on to bigger and better things. But the fact of the matter is some guys sign when they're 18, 19, 20, then don't play a game for 3 years. And what have you done to kind of develop in that time when those are the most important years of your career? That'll really push you on and where you develop as a pro and as a person and a player. So what this does, the value it has, no one really knows the feeling, and I think we've seen it's how positive it can be, and I think it's only going to get better as more teams come in this league and the level continues to rise.
Now, one of my final questions with you is kind of looking to this past offseason. Obviously, you did re-sign with Forge about a month ago now for this upcoming season. But back in the Island Games in the summertime, Garrett Wheeler, their one soccer commentator, kind of stirred up some rumors that potentially some MLS clubs might be looking at you this coming offseason, or I guess this current offseason. Did you have any MLS offers or interest?
You'd have to ask old Wheels about that one, man. Maybe he knows better. For me, it was I always wanted to come back to Forge. I knew this is where I want my future to be and be a part of what we're building here. And I think there's a lot more to be done. So that was kind of, I never really paid attention to any of it. Didn't really care to listen to it. So this is all I know is I want to be here and I'm happy to be back.
Now, my final question here before we get to our big game at the end is now looking ahead maybe to your future. At the end of your days as a player in the CPL, what do you want your legacy to be in the CPL as a player?
I don't know. I guess just been a part of the best club, best organization, best team in the league. I don't really care about any of this individual stuff, but just hopefully they knew that I was a part of a very good team.
Very, very humble man over there, Kyle Bekker. Now, before we get going, that was the end of the interview part, the questions there. We're going to play a game now quickly, and it's called There Can Only Be One. And of course, if you watch my past videos, you viewers out there, you know about the game. I'm going to explain it here quickly to new viewers as well as to Kyle. So I'm going to give, there's 8 teams I've picked here. All 8 of them, by the way, or have been champions in 2020. So this is a championship edition with the champion here. So with it, we got 8 teams here from the 8 different champions from 8 different leagues in Europe. It's going to be bracket style, 1v1. You're going to pick a team to go into the next round, and then we have the semifinals or the finals at the end. We're going to have your favorite team. No, but before I go, can I ask what's your favorite club team?
Arsenal.
Arsenal? Okay. Unfortunately, Arsenal's on it. I'm sorry, bud. Now, starting with the first quarterfinal matchup here, we got Liverpool versus Ajax.
Ajax.
Ajax, yeah. I think everybody would go Ajax, except for me, because I'm a Liverpool fan. Anyway, next one, quarterfinals, Real Madrid versus FC Porto.
We'll go with Madrid.
Real Madrid to the next round here.
Yeah.
The next quarterfinal matchup here, Bayern Munich versus Juventus.
Bayern.
Bayern in the next one. And the final quarterfinal matchup here is Zenit St. Petersburg versus Paris Saint-Germain.
Just give me the Russians.
St. Petersburg going to the quarterfinals. Yeah. I thought you were going to go PSG on that one.
No, Neymar can kick rocks.
Now in the semifinals here, we got Ajax versus Real Madrid.
Ajax.
Ajax to the finals. I think I know who might win this. Next, we got Bayern versus St. Petersburg.
Yeah, we'll go Bayern. The Russians have gone far enough.
Bayern to the finals. That means we got our finals here of there can only be one. It's Ajax versus Bayern Munich. Who do you got?
Ajax with the upset.
There you go. Ajax are your champions here for Kyle Bekker. There can only be one. Thank you so much, Kyle, for joining me here today on my show here. Really appreciate it. We got to have you back on later in the future. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your past successes and good luck in this upcoming season.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.